Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overlap Breakdown channel. Now today we're here to cover if Antoine Semenyo can make the move to a Big Six club and which club would suit him best. Good morning, welcome back to the channel. I'm joined by Neil Harris, who's obviously a coach at the moment and has coached at Manchester United for 20 years prior. So we're here to talk about and analyse Antoine Semenyo, who is the hot topic of the winter transfer window, and it seems like 4 or 5 different clubs could be looking at him. As we're recording this, I think David Ornstein has just reported that Spurs have now fell out the race a little bit, so it begs the question of your Manchester United, your Manchester Cities, Arsenals, Liverpools, them type of clubs who are all looking, it seems like, for a left-sided attacker. Well, a multi-sided attacker can play anywhere. So yeah, we're going to cover them. We're going to cover him today. We're going to go through obviously his technical quality, his tactical fit in every single team that he's been linked to, which one suits him the most, and where he may work his best football. But before we do that, of course, thank you very much for tuning in. And this is going to be our last record before Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. And yeah, if you want to kick it off, Neil, and just talk about what type of player he is, what you like about him, maybe what you don't like about him, and so on.
So I think you can see why he's attractive at the moment. Obviously, it's a lot of money, but I think his release clause of potentially, if you believe the rumours of 65 million, again, he's quite attractive to those teams that we've just mentioned there. He's a two-footed player. Obviously, his pace, his power. He does provide goals. He does provide assists. He can, dribble the ball from deep. I think there's some comparisons with, potentially like a Mane when it's his last season at Southampton. He was 24, Semenyo turns 26 in January. So I think probably him and his management team are thinking, this is the right opportunity to go. But he's an exciting talent, isn't he? He scores goals, he assists. I think there's definitely areas for him to improve. And I think that will be the real, transition for him is going from that, with the greatest respect to Bournemouth, a smaller club, certainly in terms of the ground and the team, and the manager's done wonders for him, and he's done wonders for them. But it is that jump, isn't it? We can talk about it, but we have seen certain players who make that jump and it doesn't really work for him. But I think he's got all the tools, and we'll go on to say which teams may suit him best. But I think he's certainly got all the tools to be really exciting talent for a top 6 team.
Yeah, I think number one thing that I would say when we're talking about Semenyo is obviously the two-footedness. Me and Neil will both talk about some of the finishing and the dribbling that he can do on both sides, both feet, all angles. It's really, really exciting. But for me, that dribbling quality 1v1, it does feel like that very modern archetype of winger who's very powerful, blows past players. I've got a few examples later to show you on the screen, which is more him taking 2v1s and making the most out of 2v1s. When he went to the Etihad and City beat them, there was a lot of moments where he was getting doubled up on and he still got to the line a few times and got good balls in. The final ball thing, again, is another concern for me in terms of when he lifts the ball. I think he's a lot more of a smash across the box kind of player.
I think if he gets to the byline and he's driving it across, and if somebody's obviously getting the box, I mean, Nielsen, Clivert in the past and things, it looks really, really exciting. But I think, like you say, it's when it comes to that, maybe that creativity, that sort of, he's been fronted up, the quality of the ball in there, or his creativity sort of in and around the box at times is maybe, something that he I'm sure he knows that he maybe needs to improve on to get into that, that next conversation. The next conversation of players.
Yeah. We have got a quote that I actually took from an interview we did with Sky Sports that was talking about Iriola and his tactical usage of Semenyo, and he said, he's given me that freedom in attack. He's seen it in training over and over where I just feel free, feel relaxed, and I'm just easing past players, shooting from long range and getting that success. I'm doing the defensive job that I need to do. Then when we've got the ball, I've got all the space in the world for attacking. I'm freestyling half the time with my play, to be honest with you. Most defenders expect you to go down the line, but I like to improvise and mix things up. I've always been like that, which again alludes to that two-footed nature and that unpredictability that he comes with. Just said to Neil off camera, he's one of only 2 players in the Premier League this season to score 3+ with his left and 3+ with his right foot, the other player being Igor Thiago of Brentford, and he has actually scored 8 goals this season with 5 on his right, 3 on his left. Now, very, very exciting player. I think number one thing to talk about for me is that dribbling quality, and more importantly, what type of dribbles he favours the most when it comes to playing for Bournemouth. Now, I'll obviously let Neil take this on when I go to talk about it, but let's just say that the blue team are defending and he's got the ball here. He has that unpredictability 1v1, and I don't think he's more of a It's really interesting because his technical fundamentals when he's 1v1 are really, really nice. Like, he's very, very upright, and then when he wants to go, he gets over the ball.
He slows them down to then be able to drop.
Yeah, very jinky. For a man who's 6'1", by the way, he's a very powerful player. Quite interestingly, as we'll go to speak on about his versatility, his aerials are absolutely exceptional for a player in his position. And if I compare him to every other attacking midfielder / winger in the Prem, and there's 33 of them that we've got filtered in here with 900 minutes played minimum, we can see that goals per 90, he ranks first, expected goals 5th, expected goals differential, which is showing the quality of finisher that he is, 4th, shot conversion rate 4th, dribbles completed 9th, possession 1/4, talking about that out of possession quality. But then there's other stats that don't favour him too much, which are your touches, your runs in behind, your expected assists. So if you were to talk about the volume of touches he's getting at Bournemouth right now do seem quite low for a player of his quality, and we're talking about a player to jump up. Is he... I don't think he's an efficient player. I think he's a player like he describes himself as, who needs the freedom to freestyle a lot and try different things. He almost needs 4 to 5 goals at his fullback.
Yeah.
But once he has that one, he does feel a little bit unstoppable. I absolutely love the tendency to take it on his left foot down the line and hit these cutbacks to Cliver, as we were saying. But when he's 1v1, he scored a goal against Burnley at the weekend, which obviously fell, so it went off a dribble, but it was on this space with his right foot going across goal. His near post finishing is quality, and yeah, if you could you maybe analyse a little bit of his technical quality on the shot after a dribble, like cutback after a dribble?
Yeah, so what I would say is, like you say, when you look at his profile is very much a 2025, nearly 2026 sort of attacking player that we see come through the academy system. And what you just said to me then as obviously a youth coach who adores Mavericks and players like that, you know, those words that he said there about the manager is, you know, is music to my ears and things. Like I say, what I like about him is that, like you said, he's very upright. He'll slow him down to then go left and right, because again, you see a lot of inverted wingers when they do play off the left. We know pretty much what they're going to do all the time. What's exciting about him is, and what's a difficult problem for fullbacks is because he can go on the outside and he can then drill across. You see the goals Evan Nielsen and Clive got last season and this season already, and they are very much from sort of cutbacks that have been fired across the box, either off the right or off the left. And I think that's what really favours him there, is that if he does come in, he can still go the other way and fire it over. Like I say, not a criticism, but I think an area of development is then his creativity maybe around this. I'm not seeing too many where, similar to Rodgers' goal yesterday, at the time we're filming this against United, those curlers into the box, it is very much power and things, and maybe combination play in and around that. So that little bit of cuteness in and around the box potentially is not there yet. Again, greatest respect to Bournemouth. If he does move to the next club, there might be then another step up of players that he's playing with that might come as part of that. But yeah, and you know, his versatility to be able to play right hand side, potentially centre forward a couple of times recently, and left hand side, that's got to be one of the most attractive options as well for, you know, for the teams that are looking at it at the moment, because again, we'll come on to the teams, but if you're able to play off 2 feet and get to the byline and be able to get shots off in and around the box, and the power in his shot is, you know, is ridiculous and things. And also because you just mentioned there about him working hard as well.
Yeah.
His regains are ridiculous in terms of his pace and his power getting back, and some of his duels that he wins there, and 1v1s are very, very good. So yeah, I just think he's unpredictable, and like you mentioned those words there, he plays off the cuff a little bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel to me, I see a lot of academy football now, I see a lot of first team football, and I'm watching an inverted winger and I'm like, I know what he's going to do. I know what he's going to do. Whereas I think that unpredictability, and I think if you think of his link up at times with Kirkes last year, was outstanding. Their timing of Kirkes', you know, movement and things. And I think that again is one thing that Liverpool have missed this year, is that maybe with Gakpo out there, Kirkes I think is a little bit unsure on his movement. Whereas I'm sure if Liverpool do pay the money for him and he goes there, then that's something that I think they're probably hoping that it's going to unlock Kirkes' his next step up for them as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to just throw a couple of screenshots on your screen now to talk about that unpredictability that he has 1v1. I've got a couple of examples from the Burnley game, and we can see sort of the difference in variety. So first one I'm actually going to show is where he's squaring up his fullback just outside the corner of the penalty area. So he's on the tip of the top right corner, and you can see that he's hunched over the ball, ready to take the ball straight at the defender. He attacks the hips, off-balances him, uses the decoy, run on the overlap, and then comes inside and looks to go for that sort of on the floor, outside of the foot finish to the far post, which is showing that he can do that. And he has the ability to make a lot of his shots come crosses because they are so well positioned and they've got such whip on them. So it's really attractive for an attacking player to latch onto the end of a cross. If we're thinking like an Evan Nilsson who's attacking here, if he looks to come in on his right-hand side and wants to bend it there, we can still anticipate the crosses in front of the defender, which he does quite a lot. He's got a couple of assists at Bournemouth that I've seen before on Y-Scout, which is where he's actually trying to find the far corner, but if their attackers can latch onto that loose ball, then it does become a little bit of a great cross at the same time. I've got another example again from the Burnley game showing the difference in variety from Semenyo on the dribble. So this time, starting out wide, very, very wide on the byline, as we'd see a typical Manchester City winger. And we can see that he's squared up his fullback, and this time he's looking to do the scoop motion. So he's really slowing down, decelerating his play, and then as soon as he's lured in the fullback, he's a kick and run, scoop right down the line onto his left foot, cuts it back brilliantly, and Bournemouth should score from this chance on 46 minutes. And that is showing the variety of him not even to potentially need a fullback sometimes. His fullback can remain deep at sometimes, and he can do the wing play on his own, especially when he's 2v1. But that variety to go down the line on his left foot, to come inside on the right foot and beat an unpredictable player 1v1 is something that a lot of European clubs will be looking at as the top attribute.
I tell you, I'll be very, very excited that the potential in for him would be Haaland, Ekitike and Sesko.
Yeah, that'll be
for me. Obviously, Isak, it looks like he's got a long injury now, but you know, for me, if I'm Ekitike, Haaland or Sesko, I'm thinking, well, wow, okay, I don't need to be coming. I can start staying in the width of these posts here now because I've got a winger who, if he's going to play off the right or the left, is going to get balls into the box with me. And potentially cutbacks, which, you know, again, inverted, we just mentioned there, cutting in, you know, if you can get your timing right, it's a great one. But I tell you what, if you're a typical number 9, which those 3 are really, Ekitike shows different traits at times, but from his goals at the moment, those 3 are 9s. If you can get somebody who's cutting back here or getting to the byline, cutting back here, and you're coming onto the play as a 9, you know, I'd be very excited if I was one of those 3 potential 9s at those clubs we mentioned.
We did a video on Gyökeres talking about his off-the-ball movement sometimes in the box, and I think there's a lot of scrutiny of the Arsenal wide players at times not finding that zip across the penalty area, not across the face of the goal. That is something that Semenyo does give you, is that constant drive across the face of the area with pace on the ball as well. And yeah, I think definitely number 9s were 6-yard box 9s, which they've all proven they can be in moments. They will definitely be licking their lips at some of that quality. I am going to show you a couple graphics on your screen to talk about Semenyo's off-ball running and heat maps, so we can see from his touches, his heat maps, he's starting very wide, but then nearer to the penalty area. The red spot is growing more and more towards the corner of the penalty box, which is showing that ability to go from outside to inside, starting wide, drifting in with the ball, but still a lot of green on the side of the touchline, even very deep into the opposition's half. Chance creating carries, we can see that same thing attacking the corner of the penalty area. And then we've got his final one, which is a shot map, which is showing all of the quality shots that he's getting off, mostly all coming from that inside on his right foot across the goal. But as we've mentioned, the 2-footed finishing, if he played more minutes on the right, this would be a lot more, there'd be a lot more variety in this shot map.
But he also gets his shots off. You saw him at Old Trafford. He gets his shots off when he plays on the right. He does get his shots off on the right, so he's not coming on his left. He can do that, but he will try and take them on the the more orthodox winger and take them on and get shots across the. Which again, I think because of the nature of the way the league's going, fullbacks actually aren't as programmed if they're new to the game and stuff and things, aren't actually programmed to be able to actually get done on the outside and stuff. So he just offers for me a really exciting difference to what the Premier League and academy football and youth football looks at the moment. That he actually, if he plays on the right, he will take them on the right and then get shots across, which again, keepers aren't that thing because aren't that ready for, because everything's very much inverted now and build up and lofted and stuff. So if you can be beating players there and getting shots across the keeper. I saw one last night for the Hart scored. Just that quick early strike. Keepers aren't set for it as well. So I'd be really excited. It's funny with the Arsenal one though, because you think surely Arsenal can't be in for him because of Madueke,
Yeah.
Eze, those signings
depth.
and stuff, and obviously Saka out there and things. But you're right that I think if Gyökeres could ask Santa for one thing, I'm pretty sure he would
He'd be
ask
a winger to put
for a
one in.
Semenyo who could just pull back balls and he just can stay in the width of the goals there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think the number one thing, especially with the Arsenal point of view, is that they've obviously signed Eze, and he's been playing a part job out wide left. Martinelli and Madueke have all played there, of course. Martinelli's got a decent Champions League record, but I think with the clubs that are in for him, especially Manchester City at the current time, it does seem like this could be a potential 3-6 pointer signing if you get him in January, just for them moments of play where the game's a little bit tighter, and if he gets given the freedom to do that. And I think I look at Arsenal at the moment and I go, they have signed Eze, and I do think he's a quality player, but I still see him as an inside player. I still see him playing behind the number 9 directly.
I think he does.
Yeah, I think he does as well. And I just think this is a lot more natural to an Eze-like player to get the ball here and then feed, rather than playing on the left coming inside. I know he did play on the left 10 position for the Palace team, but again, there's a lot more freedom in there for him to come inside the pitch, and I don't really see him as an out-and-out left winger, especially for an Arsenal team who they've got Saka on this right-hand side, who is obviously brilliant at beating his fullback down the outside, but his main threat is back on the left foot here. And Ben White is a little bit, for me, Ben White's more of an overlapper than Timber. He's got a little bit more quality in the final third. But if we're looking, can Arsenal sign someone who really kicks them on to win the league and break blocks? We're looking at the Wolves games, and even the Everton game was tight in moments. Are we looking for someone like Semenyo, where Arsenal, if they want to play more direct, if they want to give a little bit more license to the players to work shooting angles and have a pop from range and just force the issue a little bit, we come back to that risk-averse Arsenal conversation again. Semenyo, to me, as a wide player, Eze can do it, but again, I think he's a central player.
I think Arteta would love to have him, but going back to what those comments said and the type of player that he is, I think he would frustrate Arteta, because I think Arteta likes to really control his players, loves the control of the ball, and I think that's why at times with Martinelli, I think he doesn't trust Martinelli at times, because Martinelli plays off the cuff a little bit and plays, a little bit different to maybe an Odegaard and Saka, who, it feels very Arteta in the way that they're building up, and like you said, Timber's movement and things like that. So I think it's down personally. Listen, City might pay the money, and there's a chance of winning Champions League and winning the league. Who's to know, etc. And whatever the money involved. I would think it's maybe between United and Liverpool in terms of fit. I would say, we're talking about unlocking Gyökeres. I think Semenyo may unlock Wirtz. I think you can see Wirtz is starting to find his little bit of feet now. That pass for Isak was different class. Obviously he's not got the pace, Wirtz, to be able to get. Even when that ball got played by Jones, you're thinking, go on then yourself, and he waited because he knows he's not got the pace. Waited for Isak's run. I think potentially a Semenyo could unlock, Wirtz potentially if he's playing off the right while Salah's away. Don't know what's happening with Salah. Obviously, Gakpo's a different type of player, but I think when you look at his stats, I think him and Gakpo's stats are quite similar as well in terms of the way they play. Again, I'm sure Nketiah would be excited with that. And I think United, we had the chat off camera, where. So when, obviously you look back at the Bournemouth game itself and how the front three looked quite exciting for the first time. Little flashes yesterday in the Villa game at the time of recording this. Where's he going to play? Because you think those three are sorted in there. Are locked in there. Obviously, if Fernandez does go in January with all the noise, that does unlock fees for it. But will Semenyo want to play wing back? I don't think the manager's going to change it. I think he has played that role a couple of times before, but I'm not too sure he's going to go from a Bournemouth team where he's got that freedom you've just spoke about there to potentially go and play a wing back and be expected to do it. I think he could do it 1,000,000%. I think his fit is Liverpool. But I don't know whether maybe the stuff with Slot and stuff, maybe he's changed his manager's team, what managers coming in, etc. I think when you look at him, the fact that he can play right, left, maybe centre forward if Nketiah's out, and obviously Isak's out for a little while now, they might be thinking, well, we can't get a striker in January as well, but we've got the potential that he can play in one of those three positions. So I think it sounds like a few clubs have agreed personal terms with him. I think everybody's
depending who you listen to.
Correct. I think everybody's willing to pay the fee.
Yeah.
I think it might be just down to Semenyo and his management team now and which club sells it the best to him. So
yeah, I think we just spoke about off camera there about the Liverpool fit. It does seem like Liverpool are definitely in for this player, and it does seem that they're right to be that far into the deal, because we were speaking about the lack of off-ball running from this Liverpool team, how the difference between last year, when they wanted to go a little bit more direct into a player like Salah, Diaz, Nunez, them players who can stretch in behind. Again, I've got a start on your screen for Semenyo's off-ball running, 107 runs made in behind this season for Bournemouth, and we can see the variety that are attacking diagonally in behind, starting from wide, coming inside. I'm looking at what Liverpool need, potentially what they could get if Ekatike's potentially dropping a little bit deeper. Can we get Semenyo in behind? There's a lot of fun dynamics there to be had with Liverpool. Obviously, uncertainty over Mohamed Salah as well, so that'll be in the back of the mind because he can play so many different positions. Gakpo, a little bit out of form and getting a lot of scrutiny by Liverpool fans as well. I think with the United one, if I would just try and play devil's advocate, so we're talking about the Bournemouth game. I'm not sure anyone else is watching this as picked up on the same as me, but it did feel a little bit more lopsided. So Ahmad's obviously pushed up on here. Now this got completely scrapped against Villa, which is really confusing to me because we played this really interesting style that looked great in the first 45 against Bournemouth, but then obviously the lads have gone to AFCON and now we're struggling for the out and out wide players. So obviously against Bournemouth, we had Ahmad pushed up a little bit higher, Yoro covering more depth and width on the right-hand side, and the back line just shuffled, so Dalot was coming down here. And that means you can play pretty much a classic 4-4-2 in time, in moments. If we were just to do the polar opposite of that, so let's say Semenyo was the left wing back, and maybe we've got Cunha inside, Sesko inside, and Mbumo out wide, a right wing back drops in, and then the back line shuffles across like this, and Semenyo's the one to go, then I can see that working. I don't know if that would happen as soon as Semenyo joins in January and hit the ground running. I'm not sure they've got the players to play that right now. But yeah, that's one way potentially of getting around the 3-4-3 tactical fit. Because I don't think, you might agree, you might disagree, but I don't think Semenyo's a player who can play in this position here. I don't think he's a player who would excel there. I think he's a player who needs more width on him. He needs deeper touches and then he can go down the outside. He needs a lot of help from the left wing back potentially. That might be a Dalot, I don't know. But I think this position, from what we've seen from the likes of Matheus Cunha and Brian Mbumo on the other side, even Mount when he plays there, the differences in what he's doing at Bournemouth and succeeding a lot with, and then the differences between what them two players are doing when they play here, I don't know if that works for him. The only tactical fit I think I can see with Semenyo in this team would to be that lopsided, and it'd have to be a big lopside as well. Like
a lot of work for players to do.
I think
in possession, out of possession. That.
Yeah, and I think Ahmad was obviously the one against Bournemouth, and he played really well against Bournemouth. But then we've seen the trade-off with. It's quite funny. So United scored a goal from Cunha from a throw-in, and on the throw-in you can see, I'll throw a few screenshots. So on the throw-in you can see the back four, so Shaw's taking it, and then Dalot's really deep, but then Ahmad is pinned all the way high, and when Sesko cuts it back to Cunha, Ahmad stood on his own. The difference between that and then the goal that Bournemouth scored to equalise is Ahmad's still in that really high position, and we've still got two midfielders on their own and covering so much space with a back four, and that trade-off wasn't quite... It was a risk-reward situation, but it shows you the difference in...
I think United have been alerted to the fee.
Yeah.
Thinking, wow, he's an excellent player. Wow, we don't want him to go to Manchester City or Liverpool. I can't see where there's a world where 65 million on Semenyo is a more viable option than getting a mobile six.
Yeah.
Getting a mobile centre half. Listen, they might know stuff that Bruno's offer 100 million plus, and therefore it's two players coming in, etc. But we discussed it on the previous pod that the signing of Mbumo and Cunha, when you already had Ahmad and Bruno who played those positions already, was a funny one. We said top players, good players, and they are showing it in flashes. I don't think you sign them two players and then say, okay, we now need this. For this, however much he could even 100% play that left-hand side or right-hand side. I think it would be a big sell by the club to tell Semenyo that you're coming in and you're going to play wing back. Potentially, if there's conversation that the manager might not be next year, and then is the formation changing again?
Yeah.
Who's playing in that? He seems to like Mount a lot at the moment and things. So Mount's going to play certainly with Mbeumo away. So it feels to me that if you were getting similar to in the summer, if you were going to spend the money, surely a mobile six, a mobile centre back is the way to go to give you that that strength with the spine and stuff. Particularly if that front three, front four is starting to become a little bit more exciting now. And you mentioned the Ahmad situation there. Is that if that's going to happen, if we can get mobile six and a mobile centre back in there, that allows us to play a little bit off the cuff like they did against Everton, against Bournemouth in the 4-4 and things. So it's interesting.
Believe me, I'm a Manchester United fan. He's a quality attacker. I'd love him. But I'm in the same boat as, again, we don't really know how much money they've got either way. But there are other positions, centre midfield. Don't get me wrong, left back is 100% one, left wing back. But he's not a left wing back. That's my concerns with it. The lopsided stuff where if you wanted to push him on higher like that and do that, and maybe Ahmad comes out every now and then, 100% completely agree with that. But I am not sure when he comes in, Mbeumo and Ahmad won't be available anyway, so I doubt he'll play as the wing back with all them moving pieces straight away. I think he will play.
I don't know if he's creative enough. Again, we spoke about every time I'm on here about we love players who can drive with the ball from the middle of the park, but I'm not too sure if him playing in behind Šeško or Xerxes is the one for him and things. I think, like you say, I think he wants the space of being out here. And again, going to playing for a more possession-dominated team, how that's going to work for him differently, to being at Bournemouth. Again, there's Iriola's changed it a little bit, hasn't he, with his style of play at times. So it'll be interesting to see, getting the ball a lot more in a Liverpool, in a City, in a United, in a Chelsea, Arsenal, whatever it comes.
And to me, I know you've said Liverpool. To me, I think if Arsenal miss out on that player, I'm not sure. If they fail to win the league this year, Arsenal, and they lost out on Semenyo, they're probably going to go into next season potentially looking, where do we need to fix up to blow the title away? And I would say left winger, and I think you'd arrive in the summer going, who's available, and I don't think a lot of them players will be better than what Semenyo is now. And even though he might not be as effective at an Arsenal in comparison to Liverpool, because they will let him play a little bit more in behind potentially, with a lot more deeper passes in behind, I think for Arsenal, I think they've got to get this one, I believe. I think they need quality, a quality wide left player who's unpredictable, can score. You should just stand there when you're up against a block of five, a block of six sometimes in the Prem. You're looking for someone to smash something across the ball with pace, with power. It's a good timing, the runs that are coming in, and I don't think Arsenal have a lot of smashes across the penalty area.
That's what I'm saying. Football, and if you're a manager and you're a coach, you want to, we talk about all the time things. We want to bring the best out of this player. Well, actually, sometimes bringing the best out of this player is this player.
Yeah.
As a coach at younger ages, a coach at open ages and things, and certainly in the Premier League, we've seen it so many times. You go back the United teams of the 90s. Yes, Andy Cole was a wonderful striker in the end. You add Dwight York in, it gives him a different dimension. Yes, he was different with cancer, but how do we unlock? You talk about Beardsley and Cole, just going back to those analogies there. Some of our older viewers, but so it might be that, like I say, my only issue there would be is that the sporting director's really got to sell the fact that yes, Martinelli plays out there, Eze sometimes plays in there. Madueke can probably play out there as well. If he's not doubling for Saka's going to play. We know Saka's going to play in there. I agree. I think if Arsenal want to make a big statement, it's that. But I just think then it's Martinelli moves on maybe at the end of the season. So maybe you are planning for the last part of this season and next season. But I think there's definitely 4 or 5 sporting directors that are going to have to earn.
Yeah, they're going to have to earn the money out there.
There's some managers that are right into their sporting directors at the moment. To try and get him, because like you say, he's a really exciting player, and I think there's, like you say, he's 6'1", he's quick, he's powerful, and I think like I say, maybe go up another level with that, creativeness and things and cuteness to his play with better players and things. But yeah.
A caveat to the Arsenal thing, just when you were saying that, he takes long throw-ins.
So he's in.
When I was watching him, it was on the Y Scout, it has the best actions.
Yeah.
So I was just filtering it through while I was writing the scripts and stuff like that. And I just kept seeing taking long throws. And I was just thinking, 6'1", really powerful, massive lad, can score, shoot off both feet, play front three, but then he can take long throw-ins. Could probably score a header as well.
Yeah.
I reckon Arteta's probably going, do you know what? He needs to come here. And he just felt like, when I was watching, it just felt like, wow, this is like the perfect archetype of the wide player for that club. But I would say I think this is one that Liverpool could make. This is a sign that Liverpool could make that could help everything else out that they've signed.
I think Liverpool have to sign him.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool have. I don't know if they have plan B, plan C. I think with Hughes and with Edwards, they tend to have main targets. They might have one. I think with Hughes being at Bournemouth in the past, probably have a relationship with the player, the agent. I would have thought that they thought this was maybe done. And I think maybe you listen to the likes of Ornstein and things that maybe that has changed a little bit over the last 2-3 weeks with the stuff that's gone on with Slot and Salah. I don't know, but I would have thought Liverpool, particularly off the back of the Isak injury now.
Yeah, even more importantly. Yeah.
I think that might be a thing of we've got to get this done, and maybe another listen, they've got to get a centre back as well.
That's one thing I'd say as well is against Spurs, it was Wirtz, Szoboszlai as the wide players coming inside and then asking more of the fullback. So at the moment, it does look like Liverpool are toothless out wide, especially Salah at AFCON. I can't forget that.
I think Frimpong may change if he can stay fit.
Of course.
I think if he can have a run of games, he'll give them that width, that pace. Again, similar, doesn't have that real guile about him. I think he will whip balls in. Obviously, he cut back and got a little deflection on the one for Ekitike's goal and things. But I think he will give them that little bit of width. Because interesting, when he came on, he didn't go fullback, even though Szoboszlai was playing fullback. He played winger. So I don't think they see him at all at fullback. And I think Bradley went off injured again. So they've got real problems.
They're lacking width. With a lot of width.
A lot of width. A lot of runs in behind and stuff. Which again, for me, makes it sense that if you're Richard Hughes, you've got to get that deal done. Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Overlap Breakdown. And let us know who you think Antoine Semenyo should sign for coming this January. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.